Hey, supervisor. My name is Kelly Rathman. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I have a private practice where I work with individuals, and I also provide clinical supervision to associates who are working towards their licensure. And I'm here to talk about various topics regarding supervision. It's something I'm really passionate about. I'm really hoping to connect with other supervisors who are also doing this really good work of supporting and ushering in the new therapists that we so badly need. And hopefully offering some support to other supervisors and hopefully bringing up topics that are thought-provoking, that are inspiring, hopefully answering questions for people. And so, yeah, that's why I'm here. And I was thinking, what do I want to, excuse me, what do I want to talk about? Excuse me. What do I want to talk about today? And kind of what's been on my mind. And I'm seeing that, I've got this list of topics of things that I'd love to talk about around supervision, but what actually comes up is what is actually happening? What's actually happening in my experience as a supervisor right now? And I think sometimes that can be kind of the most potent stuff to talk about. And there's probably other supervisors out there who are also dealing with something similar. Excuse me while I take a drink of water. Of course, right when I start talking, then I get a tickle in my throat. Maybe I'll learn how to edit videos. Work in progress. So yeah, what's been on my mind and what I've been experiencing. And I've experienced this in the past as well, which is agency work, in being contracted with agencies to provide clinical supervision to some of their supervisees. Usually agencies will contract with me because I'm an LCSW, and they have associate social workers who, half of their hours can be supervised by an LMFT, and then the rest have to be supervised by an LCSW. So at some point, agencies usually need to contract or hire an LCSW to provide the supervision for those hours so that they can continue employing their ASW. And so it happens that where I provide supervision in Northern California, there aren't a lot of LCSWs. So, but there are ASWs. And so I've had a lot of work available to me, which is really wonderful. I'm really grateful for that. And so, I'm currently working and contracted with an agency that's going through some pretty major changes and really is at risk for closing. I don't know if they're going to close yet. That's the other piece of being a supervisor that's contracted, is that we don't always know all the ins and outs of what's going on with an agency, which can be good and bad, right? There's pros and cons to that. And so they're going through some pretty big changes, and they may or may not stay open. And so what my associates are going through is, a considerable amount of anxiety of, just in the uncertainty of, whether or not they're going to have a job in the near future, and how to hold their clients who are also aware that the agency is struggling and may close. And so it's not like it's something they can hide from their clients. And even if they had to hide it from their clients, I think that would be very, very difficult for them to do. But the clients know too. So it's sometimes I see it as these layers of, these layers, right? Like there's me, the supervisor, and then there's the associate, and then there's their clients, and we've got these layers of kind of managing uncertainty and also really trying to take care of and tend to these relationships. It's my job to tend to my relationship with my supervisee so they feel supported, so they can do the work that they need to do, and they need good support in order to do their work. And then they're trying to support their clients who are also sitting with this uncertainty and fear that they might lose their services, they might lose their therapist, they might lose, their relationship with an agency that they've maybe been working with for a really long time. So I really see this like that, even though I don't have direct contact with the clients, I'm like, how I do with my supervisee does affect the clients. So I take it very seriously that my supervisees need to feel held and supported as they're going through something pretty difficult. When I was a new supervisor, which was in 2016, was when I started supervising, I was lucky to be working in an agency that wanted to give me the support that I needed as a little baby supervisor so that I could, start this new endeavor of supervision. And they wanted to give me a lot of support, and they gave all the supervisors a lot of support. We had a supervision of supervision meeting every week. And so I was so lucky to have the support from other clinicians who had been supervising much longer than I had, and who were helping me to understand, like, what is this? What am I doing? How do I do this? How do I deal with this situation that's coming up? And there were a lot of challenging situations that came up. So I was really lucky in that agency to have that support. However, at that agency, something very similar happened to what's happening in this agency I'm contracted with right now, which is that the counseling clinic that I was in at that agency was starting to undergo a lot of changes. There was a lot of tumultuousness. There was a lot of uncertainty. There were a lot of people who were feeling pretty disgruntled. And what happened, unfortunately, was there's a lot of people ended up leaving. And I became like the last supervisor standing. And I was very devoted to my supervisees. Like, I didn't want to leave them. And I was like, I almost felt like I couldn't leave them because I was literally the last supervisor. So I was like, if I leave, then no one can do work. Like, if you don't hire somebody else, another supervisor, these associates can't work anymore. So I was really feeling like a bit trapped. And all of the clinicians, the associates, were having a lot of feelings about what was being asked of them. Like, they were being asked to, take on more clients and have less training. And, I'm sure as if you supervisors out there have probably experienced something like this when there's a nonprofit that's going into some financial distress. This is often what happens. They say, clinicians, y'all need to take on more clients, and we're not going to give you as many hours of training because those are non-billable hours. And that trade-off doesn't feel good to clinicians who are like, we're doing really hard work and we need the support. We need all the support we can get. So I could see this program was it wasn't the program, it was really the clinic was kind of slowly imploding. And what I struggled with personally as a supervisor was how am I protecting my supervisees from the immense stress that was coming down from, upper management, and that I was experiencing immense stress. And how can I protect them? And as a brand new supervisor, I don't think I did a good job, really. I think I did the best that I could with the amount of experience that I had, and with an awareness at that time I was an experienced clinician, so I knew enough clinically to know about boundaries and managing my own feelings, and the purpose of this supervision is for my supervisee, it's not for me, right? The same things that we think about when we are clinicians working with clients. So similar stuff. But, supervision's a little bit different. And my supervisees knew that I knew what was going on, behind the scenes. So of course they were like, tell us what's happening. There was essentially, it created a blurring of the boundaries, because they were like, we know that we know you're experiencing it too. we're both experiencing this, similar things here because we're both working here in this same agency. And I really felt that towards the end of my time there, that I did a disservice by actually staying as long as I did. I probably should have left sooner, but I just was like, I again felt like, if I leave, what are these associates going to do? So I was feeling that like over responsibility, when I'm like, this is actually above my pay grade to try and figure this out. It got to a point where one of my supervisees, she was really wonderful. And I remember us having this conversation where she said, I feel like you're like on hospice care, and I feel like I need to tell you that it's okay to let go. I mean, can you imagine a supervisee telling you that? Where you're like, oh my goodness, that's powerful. That's a big statement to make. Like, you're barely hanging on, and like, I feel like I have to give you permission that it's okay to go. Like, basically, don't stay here for me. That kind of rocked me. I mean, and eventually, things happened, and there was a mass exodus, and everyone left, and then the program essentially rebuilt itself. And that agency, I'm happy to say, is actually doing great. So I don't have like ill will towards the agency. It was just at that time, it was not doing well for all sorts of reasons. So fast forward to now, and I hold that experience in mind when I'm sitting with my current supervisees at an agency that is very uncertain right now with what direction they're going to go and if they're going to be able to stay open. And I'm much more equipped now to hold the boundaries a little stronger and to stay in my lane, if you will. Like, what is my role here? It's not my role to save the agency. I know that I don't have that power. So how do I use the supervision time that we do have right here and right now to the best of our ability, so that my supervisees feel supported, so that they can go and do the exact same thing for their clients, right? So some of the things that are coming up are like, well, how do I continue working with my clients as if we're going to be here when we might not? How do I continue with the treatment plan and like goal setting? And, that seems like not like pointless, but sort of, it feels like disingenuous, I think, to some of the supervisees. They're like, how can I do that and act like we're continuing on as normal? And how I've been holding it and how we've been talking about it is with that in mind. Like, you have your session with your client right now, and all we ever have is the right now. And so how do you use this right now to the best of your ability? How do you make it so that this client can experience some benefit from the 1 hour that they have with you for right now, while also, naming the uncertainty? This is what we're trying to model, which is, we do find ourselves in situations where we are so uncertain. We don't know if things are all going to collapse tomorrow. However, right now we're here, and we can do something right now. We can be in this present moment together. We can hold both things. It's not one or the other. I swear one day I'm going to get it tattooed on me, both and, both/and, because everything is both and. There's always nuance. There's always coming back to the present moment, and that we can allow ourselves to have all the feelings, the contradictory feelings. I'm uncertain about what's happening with this agency, but I am not uncertain about this relationship between you and I right now. I'm here with you right now. And that, if we value what happens in a session, we know it's like magic can happen in a session. Miracles can happen in a session. Healing, realizations, epiphanies, a deeper connection to the self. When those things happen in a session, there's no going back. You don't lose that. When you have some deeper understanding of yourself, whether you have another session or not, that happened. And so there's value in every single session that we have. And the challenge is to not get caught up in what could be. We can honor the feelings, we can honor the fear, we can give voice to the fear. I don't know what's going to happen. It feels hard to be here. It feels hard to focus. It feels hard to be present. And that's okay. And then how do we come back to the present and connect with each other? That's sort of so I guess I'm saying there's sort of there's a parallel, right, between what happens in therapy sessions and what happens in supervision sessions. And there's a value in all the moments, regardless of if we're going to have more moments. And I'm sure that there's going to be more for me to learn here in this current situation with this agency regarding whatever happens. And I had some, anxiety and some worry about it, but I'm also in some acceptance of it's going to unfold, and I'm going to trust the unfolding of this and try to be present as much as I can for it. And I believe that I will learn something from this, and that it will contribute in some way to me as a supervisor. And I value that because I want to be a good supervisor. And I don't believe we're ever, done or masters, So that is what's been up for me. That's what I've been thinking about. I'm curious about your thoughts, questions, if you've had similar experiences. Anything that I bring here is never exhaustive. It's just like, here's where I am in this process right now. Tomorrow I might have more to say about it. Tomorrow everything might be different. But this is the truth of where I am and what I'm thinking about right now as it relates to supervision. So hopefully it was thought-provoking, helpful, interesting, and thank you so much for being here and for doing the work that you do. And keep on keeping on. Bye.